Hey there, ghouls. It's the Creepmas season, and I know this is a very hectic time of year for all of us, but I'd like to invite you to kick back, relax, pour yourself a hot cocoa, and let me read you a story. Every night from now through December 24th, I will read you a chapter from my new holiday creature feature, Christmas Creeps from the Deep. So tune in and hang out with me at 7 p.m. Eastern Time every night for a new chapter. Let's get to it, shall we? Chapter 6 Holly and the Fishmen. Earl didn't think, he moved. He didn't know much, but he knew two things for certain. One, Holly Green was the girl of his dreams, even if she didn't know it. And two, even if she never felt the same way about him, Earl wasn't going to let a school of murderous fishmen touch a single hair on her beautiful bleach blonde head. So Earl did what any man in love would do. He gripped his bubblegum pink shotgun to his chest and ran outside, and now that he was stepping over 3 dead bullies and a fishman with a hole shot clean through it, trying real hard not to slip on the blood pooling on the steps, Earl was thinking maybe he should have spent a minute drumming up a real plan before running out the door. But Holly's life was on the line, so Earl would just have to wing it. He tiptoed across the gravel driveway between his trailer and hers and took cover behind Granny's wheelchair minivan. Everywhere he looked, white shapes skulked in the moonlight, shuffling across Main Street toward the trailer park, stepping out of the gap between old Edna Weebler's 1956 double-decker pacemaker and the Noby's 1976 Hillcrest single-wide, dotting the gravel road, cutting through the center of Misty Pines. One had already made it to Holly's white picket fence and was swatting at the inflatable Santa that sang, "Ho, ho, ho, Merry Christmas," over a tinny synthesizer track. Another was ripping up the fiber optic flowers and pink plastic flamingos by her mailbox. Earl checked his bullet situation. With these things roaming around, every shot was going to count. But the chamber was empty. The gun wasn't loaded. And worse, he'd run out of the house without ammo. His head spun for a split second from the panic. He couldn't fight these things off with nothing. He had to go back. He turned, and a fishman stepped out from behind Granny's wheelchair minivan, blocking the way home. It was so close Earl could smell its breath. Rotten fish mixed with muddy creek bed. Earl stayed as quiet and still as possible, praying he didn't die. He didn't need Granny finding out about his red satin panties at the morgue. By some miracle, the fishman didn't notice Earl. It tilted its head back and clicked. Then it waited like it was listening. It did this over and over. Click, then wait, until Holly's inflatable Santa started singing again. The fishman hissed, then shuffled over to help his friend rip the singing Santa to shreds. They made quick work of it. And when Santa fell silent, they tried to break through Holly's fence to get at her porch lights. Earl could see Holly through the side window, curled up on her pink velour sofa, pushing a handful of cheese puffs into her mouth. She had a ring of bright orange artificial cheese dust on her luscious lips. Earl had always dreamed of kissing it off her while she watched Love Island, but if those fish monsters got to her before he did, he'd never get the chance. Earl couldn't let that happen. He had to save that woman right now, and the only way to do that was to stay quiet and stay in the dark. Not easy. Every bit of Holly's trailer was lit up. Christmas lights ran along the eaves. Spotlights poked out of the bushes angled up at the trailer. Holly called it mood lighting, but really her porch and yard were lit up like a carnival midway. Earl couldn't just waltz up to the front door and knock. It'd be like stepping into a spotlight. Those fish would slash him to bits before Holly could answer the door. It seemed hopeless until Earl saw Holly's side door. It was behind a little shed that bumped out just enough to cast it into shadow. Earl went for it. He hopped her perfectly manicured evergreen hedge and ran. He dropped to his knees next to the door and grabbed the little pink-painted rocks dotting the flower bed one by one. One had a spare key under it. He'd used it when he'd taken care of Jellybean, Holly's fancy long-haired white cat with a squinched-up face and bad attitude, last summer when she went to Myrtle Beach for a girls' trip. The air filled with clicks. Desperate, irritated clicks. The fishmen weren't happy. "Come on, where are you?" The rocks all looked the same in the dark. Earl moved down the line, flipping them as fast as he could, and he found the key under the very last rock. Figures. A second later, he was falling into her hallway and shutting and locking the door behind him. "Holly!" His voice was a squeak. His throat was tight and dry. "Holly!" "Meow!" Jellybean got to Earl first. He greeted him by planting 2 paws on Earl's thigh and digging his claws in deep as he stretched. "Earl Frost, is that you?" Holly stepped into the hallway, a vision in pink satin. "This isn't exactly how I pictured you getting in my back door. What you doing back there?" She looked him up and down and smiled. "Well, look at you. Are you going to the festival? That outfit will definitely shut Chip up. That took some guts. I love it. You know, You should wear tight pants more often. They show off that cute behind of yours. She walked up to Earl and pinched his cheeks. His downstairs cheeks. Know what? I think I might like to go to the festival too, just to see the look on Chip's face. If you don't mind waiting a minute, I'll make myself look like something and go with you. It'll be fun. She started to walk away, but Earl grabbed her arm and pulled her back. What are you doing? She looked up at him, then down at his hand, then up at him. Who is this new confident Earl? Grabbing what he likes. I like it. She licked some of that orange cheese dust off her glorious lips. Earl wanted to kiss her like one of those bare-chested heroes on the covers of those romance novels she was always reading, but now wasn't the time. There was a school of killer fishmen on her lawn, and they'd decapitated 3 beefy dudes with one swipe already. I'm here to save you. Earl wrapped one arm around her waist and pulled her close. Turn off all the lights inside and out. Ooh, Earl Frost. I never thought I'd see the day. About time you got the hint, she purred. Now, this is going to sound crazy, but I always wanted to play pizza deliverer man. You think you could handle that, sugar? Nothing she said made any sense, and Earl didn't have time to figure it out. Monsters were rising from the sea. This was life and death, so he said, Fish man! Well, never heard of that game, but I'm open-minded. How about we see where the night takes us? Hold on. Her brows furrowed as if she was confused. Why do you have a gun? Wait, is that for me? What an amazing gift. You Frosts are so thoughtful. Pink is my favorite color. You know, when Granny dropped off bullets last week, I thought she was crazy, but now it makes sense. You are sweet as sugar, Earl Frost. Shh, Earl said. There was a crash outside. Jellybean ran to the front door. Holly pulled away. Earl tried to pull her back, but she slid out of his grip, damn satin, and stomped down the hall, through the kitchen-living room combo to the front door. Earl followed. What on earth is going on out there, Jellybean? Holly said. Are those Noby brats trying to steal my flamingos again? Jellybean scratched at the front door, growling, puffed up so big he looked like a big white ball. Holly grabbed the pink curtain covering the window and pulled it back. A fishman stood on the other side of the glass, and the second it saw the light pouring from inside, it hissed. Ah! Holly screamed. Earl put his hand over her mouth, but she screamed right through it. What the fuck is that? Her hands balled into fists, and she started punching air. The thing's claw came down on her porch light. It flickered, and sparks flew. Something inside Holly snapped. Oh, hell no. I worked hard to make this place nice. Some big ugly tuna isn't going to come along and ruin it. She grabbed the gun right out of Earl's hands, aimed, and fired. Click. Nothing, because no ammo, remember? The creature punched the window, and its claws went right through the glass. Holly didn't miss a beat. She stomped over to a fancy table with a flower arrangement on it, opened a mirrored box, and pulled some shells out. She loaded that gun like she was a pro, turned around and stomped back to the window. She slid the shotgun out the broken pane right into the creature's open, hissing mouth and yelled, I said, get off my lawn! Boom. Holly shot that gun, and that fish's big white head exploded like the Death Star, splattering Holly with bright green fish brains and guts. The creature dropped dead, landing hard on her porch steps. She stood there for a moment, her face covered in green slime and fish brain chunks. Then she said in a flat, calm voice, What the hell's going on? Monster fish have come out of the lake. They attack everything that's bright. Chip, Carl, and Craig are dead, and one of those things took their heads off with one swipe, so I came over here to save you. There are more of them outside. May as well tell it to her straight, right? Well then... She smoothed out her robe and her pink curlers. We're going to send them all back to hell where they came from, right? Earl nodded. Holly was Earl's kind of woman, clear-headed in a crisis, tougher than steel. Holly's phone rang, and she huffed. Really? She swished to the sofa and fished it out of the cushions, gun still slung over her shoulder. Hello? Oh, hey, Granny Frost. Yep, he told me. Uh-huh. Yep. Don't worry, I took care of it. Okay, bye. She tossed the phone onto the sofa. That was Granny. She said you forgot your phone and your bullets. She said to use mine. I told her we did. Another crash came from outside. What are they doing now? Holly went to the window. The fishmen were clawing at the pink lights she had lovingly placed around her house and stomping her pink flower pots filled with fiber optic flowers down to bits. She leaned out the broken window and yelled, Get out of here! Go on, get! The creatures turned toward the trailer, toward the sound of her voice. Earl pulled her away from the window and closed the curtain. Then he made sure the front door was bolted. They're going to rip this place apart unless we turn off all the lights and stay quiet. They hate the lights. It draws them in. Well, why didn't you say that before? I did. Don't get stippy with me, Earl Frost. My night isn't going how I planned, Holly said. Well, mine isn't either. He meant it. First Bucky, now this. We need to turn off the lights. They kicked into gear. They moved through the trailer, turning off lamps, hitting switches, pulling curtains closed, and when they finished, they stayed quiet, except for Jellybean, who howled and scratched at the front door. Inside, in the dark, Holly grabbed onto Earl and squeezed him tight. They could hear the slip, slip sound of slimy, heavy bodies stomping around outside, and the sound of claws scratching at the siding. Why are they still trying to get in? Earl said. We turned off all the lights. Holly's voice trembled. Maybe not all the lights. I can't turn off the outside lights. The power strip is on the porch. Holly pointed to the front door. What? Earl felt like he was being sucked down into a whirlpool of dread. The outside lights were the most important ones. Well, don't get sassy with me, Earl Frost, Holly squeaked. I'm not going outside. I was planning to get a remote so I could shut them off from in here, but I was waiting till Al's after Christmas clearance sale. I only do nails over at the hairdo hut 3 days a week. I am on a budget. The panic in her voice did something to Earl. It made him stand up stick straight, puff his chest, and a weird feeling rose up in him. It felt something like bravery. Don't you worry. I'll take care of it. I'm going to go out there and I'll turn off the lights. He didn't want to go out there with those things. He wasn't stupid. He saw how easily they could kill a man or three, but he knew he had to go or they were both goners, and he couldn't have that. Earl moved to the door. Holly pulled him back. You can't go out there. Oh, yes, he could, and he was gonna. Earl tapped the pink shotgun in Holly's hand and said, Cover me. All right, ghouls, thank you so much for joining me. Come on back tomorrow and I will read you Chapter 7. Night-night.